Earthworks Audio is a proud sponsor of the Tech Arts Podcast. From front of house to center stage for over 25 years, Earthworks microphones have sculpted the sounds of your favorite concerts, venues, and performances. Capturing emotion with sound. Earthworksaudio.com.
This podcast is brought to you by AC Americas, a distributor of lighting, audio, and video solutions. acamericas.net. This is the Tech Arts Podcast, where we talk about tech, leadership, and all things that concern church audio, video, and lighting.
Welcome to the Tech Arts Podcast and the Earthworks Audio Studios. My name is DL. So glad to have you joining us today. Today's episode is packed with innovation, insight, and some seriously exciting tech. We're sitting down with Val Kotler from Waves Audio, diving into what's new and what's next. We'll be talking about Waves' latest AI-powered plugin and taking a closer look at the LV1 Classic Console, including how this compact powerhouse is capable of mixing surround for your in-ear monitors. Yes, you heard that right. Surround mixing for your in-ears. You'll definitely want to stick around for that conversation. Before we jump into that, we're excited to welcome a new sponsor to the Tech Arts Podcast, Resi. Resi is joining us to help advance our mission, and we couldn't be more thrilled. If you're looking for a platform that handles streaming across Facebook, Instagram, campus to campus, and beyond, while truly understanding the church market, Resi is a name you need to know. Learn more at resi.io. Resi brings you reliably resilient streaming. For more information, go to resi.io. And speaking of video and streaming, today's show is loaded with specialty segments. We've got a tech tip from Ross Video. Plus, if you're watching us on YouTube, a bonus segment from Paragon 360 called the Paragon Angle. We'll also share details on a newly released console from DiGiCo. For all of you listening to the podcast on your favorite outlet like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, your specialty segments rotate each month, so we can keep it fresh and fun. While you're listening, though, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. That helps push us to the top of your feed and notifies you when a new episode drops. Well, enough of that. Today's podcast covers a lot, and you won't want to miss a second. So let's get started. Right now, we're diving into the future of broadcast video with someone who's lived it at a high level. This person brings over 15 years of live production and broadcast engineering experience, including running a full 4K facility for Life Church in Oklahoma, powering its 40-plus campuses. If you want to know how broadcast video can elevate your communication and amplify your brand, this is your guy. Please welcome to the Tech Arts Podcast, Matt Morgan from Ross Video. Hey, Matt.
Hey, David. How are you, man? Great to be here.
So you worked for a little tiny small church called Life Church in Oklahoma.
Yes, it did start as a little tiny small church in Oklahoma years ago, and it has blown up into one of the leading voices in churches here in North America and across the globe even. So very, very cool church.
Yeah, not small anymore. Big, huge church. But you're not with Life Church anymore. You're with Ross Video. So, Matt, tell us about your role at Ross Video.
Yeah, Ross, I am the market development manager focusing on broadcast AV segments of the AVL market, if you will. So my time at Life Church as a broadcast engineer, I was a customer of Ross. Previous to that, I worked in the AV world and had my VIXA CTS certifications, was doing the corporate thing. And I think a lot of us who go into live production kind of go, where do I go with all of this? And I somehow got really lucky to be in this convergence of being able to see what the market does, merging AV and broadcast and kind of bring them all together.
Well, on the Tech Arts Podcast, we like to do tech tips. And so when I reached out to you and found out you were with Ross Video, I wanted to talk to you about Ross Video and how it can make your life easier. You're really passionate with that. So, Matt, being a tech company, talk a little bit about that. How does Ross play into making your life easier?
Yeah, One of the main goals of Ross is just to make cool, practical technology. And part of that is to make sure that you as the end user or you as the system integrator have a really good user experience and journey from start to finish. So from developing a solution to implementing that solution and supporting it, really from start to finish, it's this whole cohesive, support model, and it creates, technology that makes your life easier, makes it better. When you walk in on a weekend, you want to know that your stuff works after you've taken, your 2 days off to spend your weekend at home with your family. So that's the main thing: reliable solutions and technology that you can depend on that help your church get from A to B, which is, from start that first downbeat of a rehearsal all the way through the end of the service where you guys are packing up and going home. And as a customer, I was able to feel that support and that reliability of solutions and products. So that's really the core of what Ross does in supporting, the church market and other markets that we're in as well.
I'm really excited about this piece of tech gear. Talk to me about the Ultrix router switcher. Kind of explain how it works, because the traditional mind is I need a switcher, I need a router, I got to plug all my stuff into all these different pieces. Integrators go crazy because they got 1,000 pieces they got to hook into it. Talk to me about this Ultrix router switcher. I don't even know what it's called, but talk to me a little bit about it. It feels like this is going to make my life easier. So tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that people, typically don't even know the definition of is the difference between the switchers and the routers, and what benefits do they have. If I have a switcher, it takes a video signal and points it at a location or a destination, being IMAX screens or lobby screens, things like that. But the thing with the switcher is anything that comes in, you only can point them at those destinations. A router opens up this world of flexibility to allow you to do custom multi-viewers to a green room. You can have independent controls over displays that are maybe throughout a building. So maybe you want a certain feed to have subtitles and in a different language, and then you want another feed just to be a clean feed going to the auditorium, and you want independent control over your IMAG screens. So when you put these two products together, it opens up flexibility and some more ways that you can accomplish a task, right? I don't think we all ever have walked into an Easter discussion or a Christmas discussion or any service in between where we don't want to kind of do something different. And so it's like, how do I leverage technology to make my life easier, to give me more options, to say yes more, and empower your teams and the equipment that you already have to help you get across that finish line. So Ultrix has really become this media platform where your routing and your switching and your audio embedding and de-embedding are all done within one frame. That gives you a lot more access to your resources. From an installation point of view, you're landing signals one time and you're taking them out one time. It also allows you just way more flexibility in how you might approach a situation where you're deploying some of these solutions. So the Ultrix is a great piece of gear. I would say I was doing a bunch of different events at Life Church, especially, and we would have something happen in the week, but we have to reset for the weekend. So one of those ways that we can expand on the flexibility is, instead of needing to have physical patches for every single thing that's out there within our room and write all those things down and then make sure that everything gets put back exactly the same, now I can leverage technology and I can point things exactly where I want it. I can hit save and load, and that's my show file for the weekend or for the event. And whenever that event's over, you can look at your show file for the weekend, hit load, and now all the routes and everything that's on your switcher and your router are all back to the same that they were before that event. So it makes it way more streamlined, gives you that flexibility versus, if we've been in this world long enough, you've probably had the 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. calls, or those times where you're sitting there with volunteers like, we're doing it for the cause. This is a really good way for you to step back in there and give you some time back and some flexibility added into your workflows.
So what do you call it? Because I know you still make the traditional router, you still make the traditional switcher. What do you call the router switcher combination product?
So that product is Ultrix, and then the group of products being Ultrix, Open Gear, things like that is our hyper-converged line. And the idea of hyperconverged is, we rewind a bit. We used to have our camcorders and our computers and our landline telephones and our cell phones, and there were all these different pieces of equipment to connect us or to capture something. And so with hyperconverged, we've basically done the same thing. How do we take all these pieces to the puzzle and bring them into one place to save time, save money, save energy, resources, all of these different things, and essentially to give you more power and you more flexibility in your day-to-day.
Well, I'm an audio guy or gal, and I'm saying to myself, this doesn't really apply to me. Or does it? Does Ross offer audio pieces?
Yeah, absolutely. Within the Ultrix, we have a few different products that can work with this, but you can take Maddie, Dante, whatever you want, and put it through your Ultrix, and now that can be on your Dante network. Each channel of video has 16 channels of audio. So when you add that, router piece into it, I was talking about, translations and different feeds like that. You can take your program and now you can spit that out to multiple destinations with different audio attached to it. So if you have different languages or you're doing an event, and you also have that ability for the assisted listening side to be able to select different audio for whatever you need, whatever destination it is that you're wanting to route that video with audio. Then on top of that, we also have a product called Llama, which is basically a DAW. It gives you a lot of flexibility in now how you can even do your broadcast audio. So maybe instead of having a physical front of house console where it's playing triple duty because you're doing front of house, you're doing monitors, and you're doing the broadcast mix, now you can leverage Llama to work alongside of all of these solutions. And there's a lot of powerful tools in there. One's called Llama Mix, which is basically like a Dugan on steroids. It's a really powerful way to kind of set it, especially if you have a lot of microphones going on at once in like a kind of an interview style forum, or if you're doing an event and you want those volunteers to come in and run the system. It's a great tool that you can leverage to use it. It's not really for the live music portion of things, but a great way to kind of leverage broadcast grade mixing tools within your video world solution now.
Well, it sounds like Ross is a holistic company and it's building its products in a holistic nature. I just like using the word holistic. It sounds cool. But talk a little bit about that and how Ross and its products, you mentioned it a little bit up top, but hit on that again, how Ross is building products to really help the tech world in a holistic approach.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I think if we're the end users, we want this cohesive system that works to make my life easier. When we talk about stewardship, that can be time, that can be resources of time and money and everything else. So how do we create a system that allows our volunteers to come in and operate something and them being confident in what they're doing? When I was a production director before Life Church, I had systems that were kind of failing over and over again. And I had to ask myself, what am I doing and what's the equipment that I have in place doing to actually let our volunteers succeed in what they're volunteering to do and to serve with? And so by bringing in, a router and a switcher that all kind of speaks the same language, and graphics potentially, if you want to start doing motion graphics with, we have a product called Expression, these are all able to interconnect and work together and be one kind of cohesive, intuitive system that you can implement to really empower your volunteers to have that win. I think, production people were really harsh on ourselves and that outcome. And if something doesn't go right, all the heads turn and look to the back. The poor sound guys are always like, it's not me. I don't do the video things. But at the end of the day, how does technology connect what we're trying to say to the people who are in the room and on the other side of a screen, maybe at home or watching somewhere else in a different part of the building? So we want to give them that one cohesive solution that our volunteers are confident in, and that, stewardship wise, you've also spent your dollars in a good way that lets you have those wins every single week and gives you that confidence to be able to go in every single week. And again, say yes to the things that your team wants to do and how you want to accomplish those goals of the weekend.
I'm sold, man. How do people get in touch with Ross?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are on Instagram, we have a Ross Worship Instagram page you can reach out to. It's pretty active on there. But we also have rossvideo.com where you can look at all of the products that we have there. There's a little chat bot in there. There's a contact us page, and you can go to that 24/7 anywhere in the world.
If you want to get in touch with Matt or find out more about Ross Video products, be sure to go to rossvideo.com. Ross Video is powering the world's greatest live productions. Find out more at rossvideo.com. Matt, thanks for coming on and talking to us about Ross Video.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Hang on, everyone. We have more powerful tips and insights coming up on the Tech Arts Podcast.
Paragon 360 is known for its large format nationwide renovation projects. Paragon Direct, however, specializes in small, quick turn projects and gear sales. Hello and welcome to the Paragon Angle. We got something new at Paragon that I want to talk to you about. We're known for designing and building engaging environments. Large format, nationwide renovation and new construction projects that redefine how spaces look, sound, function, and feel. But what if you don't need a full renovation or new build? That's where Paragon Direct comes in. Paragon Direct is a brand new division of Paragon 360 built specifically for smaller, quick-turn AVL projects and direct equipment solutions when you need results fast and answers even faster. What about a new console, an LED screen for the children's space or lobby, wireless systems, monitoring upgrades, custom rigging, acoustical treatment, distributed audio, or LED house lighting? Maybe you don't need a new audio system. Maybe it's a redeployment of what you already have with a few add-on pieces. Paragon Direct has you covered. We represent more than 350 manufacturers, which means we're not tied to a single brand or product. Instead, we want to help you find the right solution at the right price so your system performs the way it's supposed to. You get it right the first time without the second guessing. Paragon Direct is designed to move promptly. Effective answers, quick quotes, and timely turnkey solutions that fit your schedule and your budget. Whether that's equipment shipped straight to your door or a fully installed system, we can make the process simple and stress-free. And you're not just buying gear, you're partnering with a team whose experience spans the theatrical, live event, and broadcast worlds. We're in the trenches every day, serving in churches, running productions, and helping shape the next generation of technical leaders. If you're ready to upgrade without the scale or timeline of a full renovation, Paragon Direct is ready to help. Visit our website to see real-world examples and learn more. Paragon Direct by Paragon 360, the solutions you need from the team you can trust. We'll see you on the next Paragon Angle.
Right now, we've got Ryan Shelton joining us to break down the latest updates from DiGiCo. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, David, how's it going today?
Where are you at?
I'm actually in the broadcast room at Brentwood Baptist Church for the SALT conference. So they are using DiGiCo's at front of house monitors and broadcast all in an optical loop to make their lives easy. And yeah, I'd asked the guy if I could use his room for a few minutes to jump on with you. And he said, yeah, he's not using it. So I get a cool background.
I know you've got some exciting announcements. What's new at DiGiCo?
Yeah, we just launched a new small console. So our last console we launched was quite large. And I think probably everybody was like, wow, that's maybe a bit too big for my church or for what I need. And so we've gone completely to the opposite end of the spectrum for DiGiCo. And we've launched the Quantum 112 or the Quantum 112, whatever you want to call it. It's a small. So it is a single screen, same screen you get on like the Quantum 225 or the 338, and same quantum capabilities. So mustard processing, so modeled dynamics, you get spice rack, you get nodal processing, you get all the cool things about quantum, DMI slots on the engine, multiple MADI connections, just tons of cool stuff, but in a very small package.
80 input?
80
channels.
inputs, 24 buses. Yep. Plus you get nodal processing on top of that. So it's a bit more effective for monitor mixing as needed there. If you were typically like double patching something, you can use nodal processing to keep you from having to double patch an input. Yeah, you get all that. And it was designed to also be like a fly pack or a travel console. And we recognize not everybody's going to use it for that, right? That's a pretty specific use case for our touring friends. But, you know, in a church, there are all sorts of venues all over the place where a 225 is just too big. You know, you just don't need it for a chapel or for a multi-purpose room or something like that, where you're just going to have, you know, a handful of infants, maybe a worship leader and a singer and a pastor speaking from time to time. And so this is meant to be that small format console with all the same tools and quality of a quantum console, just at a very small form factor, and of course, smaller price with that.
To find out more information on the Quantum 112, go to digico.biz. Mix anywhere, fly anywhere with the Quantum 112. Learn more today at digico.biz. Our main sponsor is Digital Great Commission Ministries. Whether you need help building a team, finding the right gear, or just better understanding the church tech world, DGCM is here for you. Because they are a 501c3 donor-sponsored organization, they come to your church for free and do an assessment of your tech, visitor engagement, and online streaming. Plus, we give away free gear. Be sure to go to audiovideolighting.com and register your email today. This will sign you up for all of the free giveaways and give you first access to everything we offer for free. If you want free resources, training, or consulting, contact Digital Great Commission Ministries today by going to audiovideolighting.com. That's audiovideolighting.com.
This podcast is brought to you by AC Americas, a distributor of lighting, audio, and video solutions. acamericas.net.
Right now, let's talk about some Waves plugins. Joining us today from Waves is Val Kotler. Hey, Val.
How are you, Dave? Good to see you all.
Yeah, I'm doing good. So you're joining us from Israel, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's amazing what technology can do to bring us all together. But before we get started, Val, tell us about your role at Waves.
Well, so I joined Waves on permanent basis around 2010, and I'm myself front of house engineer, working and active up until today. So my primary focus at Waves, I'm a product manager. At this point, I'm already a senior product manager, and my specialty and my focus is live applications. Everything that's live, it's what's connected and what I'm doing here on a daily basis. We're talking about hardware, software, plugins, workflows, systems, everything live, it's all me. Not only me, but this is what I do.
Well, it's great to have you on, Val. Thanks for coming and helping us understand some of the Waves products. I know a little later in the show, we're going to be talking about the LV1 Classic, and everybody can't wait to hear about that. But right now, let's talk some plugins. So this is a little bit of a mouthful, but let's start off with the IDX Intelligent Dynamics. Tell us about that one. Is that what I'm seeing on the screen here?
Well, not yet. We're going to load it up in a second, so that way we can all see and enjoy the view. So IDX Live Intelligent Dynamics, here how it looks like. What we're going to do today, we're actually going to introduce 3 plugins, and they all very simple in their control, but they very impactful. This is, we understand from the live users and myself, of course, obviously, because I'm a product manager and a client all at the same time. And that live users need tools that are effective, that are easy to use, impactful, and they're not going to get lost in controls and in different user guides to understand. It should be really quick and effective. So first tool we're talking about here, it's called IDX. So most of you probably already familiar with the concept of multi-band compression. This is the concept is not new. We're all aware of this. Basically, it's a frequency-dependent compression where usually, in most of the cases, it's divided to 3 or 4 different ranges, like in a crossover style compression, and they're independently getting compressed depending on the content of the source of the music. So that way you can basically control the overall frequency curvature of your sound. Now, what we came up with that 4 bands is not enough, 5 bands is not enough. How about 32 bands? So
4 or 5 bands isn't enough, so we're just going to jump to 32.
Yes, sir. So the idea is here actually the amount of bands, it's not that important. What's important is the granularity of the control. So basically, when you have a multi-band compression only with the 4 zones, then only 4 chunks of audio can be controlled. Here you get a lot more precise control over the audio because you have multiple bands. So in the idea is here that the way you control it, it's basically with one dial. So right at the bottom, below the line, you see your input audio. It almost looks like in what we actually see right now on the screen is the kick drum. Okay? Kick drum is playing. So in the kick drum, as you obviously see, it's kind of like an RTA thing going on. There is a lot of low end, etc. So if we're going to apply a multi-band compression, and the way you do it, you just dial the big one, big knob, dial it. The more you dial it to the right, the more compression it applies. But again, it applies compressions of frequency-dependent compression. Okay? So this is one thing you already can do. So very easily, you get a very even out compression of your source. Now, kick is just an example. You can use it on any source, on vocals or anything like that. So this is a perfect compression. So usual compressor, when you apply, for example, for the vocals, it's actually level depending, not the frequency depending. So the louder you get, the more compression it applies across whole spectrum. Okay, a whole frequency range. While IDX actually applies the compression only to the specific frequencies that getting louder than the others. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. So this way you can see now what you can do also, you can tilt the way how it approaches your compression. So that way, if you go, so it's going to emphasize the compression on the high frequencies and release less compression on the low end. If we're going to tilt the EQ otherwise, so it's going to apply more compression to the low end relatively to the high end. Okay, so this is a quick way not only to compress, but make a tonality of your compressed audio very easily controllable. In addition to that, you have a speed, which is just the standard attack and release controls. Again, dialed in very simple. Now, in default state, it already fits pretty much everything. But if you feel like you're more advanced user and you wanna try it and see, for example, if it's something we would like to compress very fast, so we will gonna dial you see this is how it goes. So right now it's become slow, and the more left you go, the faster it becomes. Okay, so you have the control over the speed, you have control over the amount, you have the control of overall tonality of your source. So it's a super fast and very efficient way to get hold of your compression, because usually in many cases for very seasoned professional compressors, it's something that they are very used to, very familiar with, very comfortable with, but it's not an easy subject to get. There is always like kind of strange dials and meters, and you're trying to figure out what it actually does to my audio or doesn't do to my audio. What should I put this, or what should I put that knob, and a threshold and a ratio and attack and release and all of those stuff. So that IDX tool in that sense simplifies all of that to the basic terms. And what's important, the final audio is of the great quality, and you get the immediacy of this. The results are immediate, apparent, and you can feel exactly and get to what you want super fast. So that's a very ultimate tool as a compressor.
Val, that IDX looks like it really can change the mix quite a bit and really help people out with multi-band compression with all the different settings. Let's move on to the Curves Equator. That caught my attention a little bit. How does that plugin work?
We actually climbing the ladder regarding the technologies that we are using. So where IDX is a standard multi-band compressor, just what's special about that, it's the ease of use and the multi-band abilities of that. What we get to another dynamic control tool, which called in a generic name for those kind of tools is a resonant suppressor, okay? Or resonant control device.
Now, just so I'm clear, is that a part of the Curves Equator, or is that a different?
This is the Curves Equator. So a Curves Equator is the resonant suppressor.
I got you. Okay, so this is something that happens inside the Curves Equator.
Correct. So the technology and detection that Curves Equator utilizes, it's called resonant suppression. So it's a bit different than a standard compression. Standard compression relies on the amplitude of the audio. It can be different amplitude in different frequencies, okay? But compressor usually reacts to the amplitude, to the sheer volume of the audio signal. Resonance suppressor does not react to amplitude. Resonance suppressor reacts to frequency content. Okay? So each and every resonance suppressor basically got inside its own mind a target curve, target sound. So what I mean by that? In general, the default state of the resonance suppressor or its target reference is the pink noise curve. Okay? Pink noise curve that implies equal power across the frequency spectrum, across frequency spectrum, between the frequency ranges. So what resonance suppressor does, it listens to the frequencies that are not the amplitude-wise, but they're masking other frequencies. And the goal of the resonance suppressor is to unmask, or at the end, it's a compression. But the compression that it's a lot more precise and works on the frequency dependent spectrum.
So Val, yeah, what would be a use of this? Is it used to kind of clean up your microphones, or kind of give us a real use case?
Yeah, real use cases, and why it's different than a standard compression, because what we at the end we're talking about, it's a type of a dynamic processor, okay, at the end. But the audio effect from the resonance suppressor is slightly different than compression. Where compression, you can call it, let's say, somewhat a relatively brutal tool, okay? A resonance suppressor, it's extremely precise and gentle. Well, in many cases, one of the ideas of using a compressor, it's not only to contain the dynamic range, but add a coloration. This is what compressors do. They change the dynamics and they change color of the sound. While suppressors actually make it sound better. It's the EQ that dynamically changes to make sure that all of your frequencies of your sound are unmasked and clear and presentable. So obviously, where it shines on vocals, where each and every nuance of the vocal you want to present to the listener. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's a spoken word or it's a singing voice. You, for example, where compression you would love to use, let's say on drums, on guitars, on basses, where you want to get that thick, impactful sound, with voices, you want to be a lot more gentle. You want to be precise. You want to make sure that the vocal is delivered in the most pristine state to the listener, in the most optimized way. So this is exactly what Equator does. So, for example, I have quite a few vocals here. You'll see, for example, if I'm just gonna copy the plugin over here. So on a standard vocal, and this is exactly what you see. In a standard vocal, usually there is a build-up of low mid. Okay, we're all aware of this. This is what in many cases we start to carve with EQ. But see how the actual resonance suppressor, this is the low mid area. Please note how the how the resonance suppressor reacts to it. It's moving. Now and this is the input signal. Okay, this is how the vocal low mid area looks on the middle. Okay, this is the harmonics of the audio, and they constantly moving left and right. So the frequency constantly changes, while Equator constantly follows and does the precise compression on those exactly ranges when they overwhelm other frequency spectra.
Yeah, so it looks like it's basically looking for those frequencies that I don't want and turning them down for me, compressing them down.
It's gliding, it's surfing.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's constantly helping you to find those frequencies that actually abstract the beauty of the vocal. So this is a perfect tool to get your vocal shine. Now, in addition to just one dial, which is again simplicity of the tool, that one dial, it's how much you want to remove the resonance. Okay? This one big dial right here. Now, you actually can shape the overall tone, tilt the EQ this way, or you can actually tilt it the other way around like so, or like this. So you can actually give it tonality, same idea like in IDX, give it an overall tonality, but the actual response is a lot more gentle, is a lot more precise, is a lot more focused. So it's perfect for your acoustic instruments, it's perfect for your vocals. Last thing about the Equator. This is a perfect tool, another application for this. For example, I have here kick and bass channel. Okay? So I can put the Equator on a bass. Okay? So right now I'm on a bass. And what I'm gonna do, create a sidechain compression. A sidechain compression, it's a known trick in audio where you affect the dynamics of one channel by the other. So one of the great examples, it's relationship between kick and a bass. In many cases, when the kick and bass play together, bass abstracts the kick. So kick, when the bass is playing, disappears. And especially if the kick play, let's say on 1, 2, 3, 4, every time when the bass is its place, we actually want to have the feel that they kind of locked together, kick and a bass. And the way to do it is to employ sidechain. So every time when kick hits, it ducks a little bit or compresses a little bit the bass sound. But we don't want to compress the whole bass. We just want to compress the frequency range where kick and bass collide. Okay, so the way you do it here, it's super simple. This is currently on the bass. This is the sidechain menu. So I'm saying I want to get it in sidechain from my kick. So right now, kick comes in inside, and this is I'm going to turn the sidechain in, and I call the rider. As soon as I do that, let's make sure that my kick is up. I will just mute it so we don't hear it much. Here it is. Every time right now kick hits, now you see, this is kick. So any kick gonna compress bass exactly in the same area where they collide. That way right now, if we're gonna play kick and a bass, we're gonna have a nice locked sound between kick and a bass. Okay, so right now without sidechain, this is just reacts to the bass only. You see we lost the pulse of the kick. And right now, and we hear it, here it is. Here the kick. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. And it ducks exactly the frequency range when the bass and kick fight each other. So that way, right now, kick and a bass are live in harmony.
And we always want the kick and bass to live in harmony.
That's what we want to do it. So this is how you achieve it. Simple is that. So it's just a few clicks, nothing to do. So you assign your sidechain to kick, turn on the sidechain on and the rider, because this is what we're gonna tell it right now, duck it, and this is how much you wanna compress it. You wanna be really aggressive, you wanna be really soft. This is dial per your taste. But you done. This is how fast you can achieve the kick and bass sound.
Yeah. So Val, let's move on to the Curves AQ. Now, is that AI? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Well, indeed. So I'm gonna show you. Yeah, this is basically our first live AI plugin. Our journey with AI just started. Actually, the first plugin that introduced AI, it's called Clarity. Clarity VX. This is a plugin for the noise reduction for voices, but it's used in broadcast because the latency and the CPU of the plugin is very high. So we do not introduce that plugin yet for the live users. We are working on this. But the first AI plugin for live, this is actually the Curves AQ. Curves AQ Live. Okay, so what's the plugin? So this is right now, we see the plugin in its default state. So yes, Curves, because it's as you already understood that prior to this one, we saw Curves Equator, and right now we see Curves AQ. It's the same family of plugins. They do belong to the same family. They both resonance suppressors, but they are different, and we'll see it in a moment how different they are. Okay, so where the Curves Equator, it's a resonance suppressor only. Okay, that's the whole premise of the plugin. The AQ takes it to completely another level. Okay, so what the AQ does, it's got actually quite a few things. Number one, it's not only resonance suppressor, but it's a resonant expander also.
Wow.
Okay, as you see right now, all of the red areas, this is expansion. All of the blue areas is the suppression. Okay, you can control all of them together with a big dial. So right now I dial it to 0, no compression, no expansion. Went a little bit too much. I specifically do it too much so you can see it. Right now it does all of the expansion and suppression at the same time. You can control the amount of suppression or expansion by those dials. So if you use the pink dial, it's the expansion. Okay, maximum, no expansion at all. Same thing with the compression or suppression.
So it's not a computer doing everything for you. It looks like you have a lot of control over this.
Well, it's actually, it takes it even farther.
There's more.
There's more to it. It's actually more to it. So there is a menu right here. Pick a target, what you're working on. Currently, it's actually a male vocal playing in the background. So I selected a male vocal. Vocals, male vocal. What I do next, I hit the learn button. So right now, that's the AI part. This is what AI doing right now. It's actually learning my sound. Okay? And it compares it to the super extensive library of male vocals and equalization in the major albums.
So all of this you'd want to do during a rehearsal, sound
Yes,
check, all of that
absolutely.
stuff.
This
You don't
is
want to
the
be
sound check. That part is the sound check time.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing this live.
No, you don't want to be doing this live. But see what happened. After it's learned your vocal, it's give you a suggestion for 5 different curves. It's a fixed curve that it's learned, AI learned from the multiple analyzing thousands of records. Okay? So, and you can basically switch from one to another and decide which one works better for your audio per your taste. You just click on it and EQ changed. Click on it again, you give this option. Click on this again, another option, etc. So you have 5 options to choose from. You choose the one that sounds the best to you, that fits your style the best. As soon as you're done, you can close that menu and you staying with that curve. And from here, you can tweak overall, because right now, the suppression and expansion this is your new target curve. Right now, your target curve is not flat, but it's tailored to your specific sound. And right now you can decide, or you leave it just fixed EQ with 0 dynamic processing, or you leave it a little bit of dynamic processing and you say, I do like the amount of the suppression, but the expansion is too much, so I want to dial it down.
And the target curve, is the plugin using that for anything, or is it just kind of showing you a target that you can get to?
This is the target that it's tailored specifically to your audio.
Got it.
Okay, specifically. So if I'm going to put
then you can change it a little bit depending on what it sounds like. Yeah.
So you already can change it using standard, like amount of the compression, dynamics, right. How it's related with dynamics. There is more, always more. There's more stuff. Super cute thing, it's the tilt. You can tilt.
It's like it's Christmas, Val. It's like it's Christmas.
Yes, it keeps on giving. It just keeps on giving. Okay? This is keeps on giving. Okay? You can tilt it this way. You can tilt it that way. Okay? Now you say, well, it's so dandy, but there's one frequency that annoys me. So you just double click and add basically your bell equalizer to it. You can cut it in this area. You can boost it. You see how it reacts immediately to it. And you can solo it. Right now, you can solo the thing and say exactly where's the problem, and audition that painful frequency. And by the way, I'm in that famous zone of between 2 and 4K. This is where it usually hurts. But you can be precise. You can solo it, dial it exactly what it's going on, okay, this is the one that hurts me most. Get out of the solo, decide how much cut you want to have it there, and there you go. You want it wider or narrower?
So to summarize, you can use AI, you can use the artificial intelligence to get you what is probably best for you, 5 curves, but then you can modify this to what is actually happening in the room.
To your room, to your particular singer, to your particular taste. You have the flexibility. And what's important, because this is already super advanced. We started from IDX, which is very simple, one dial really, to knock it off, and you get the multiband compression. You get to the resonance suppression, and then you get to the resonance suppression with the sidechain, and you get to the super smart tool like a Curves AQ that makes you. By the way, right now I replaced all of my vocal chains, and it's multiple plugins in the vocal chain. All of them replaced with a single plugin.
This one.
This one.
That's
AQ,
awesome.
because it's so effective. And it's suddenly you get that precise studio level vocal in live, controlled, clean, with a perfect EQ. It's hard to compete with that. It is hard to compete with that.
Yeah, I can see where it gives you a lot of tools, dials, ways to kind of get it.
Yes.
Well, not kind of, to get it exactly how you want it. So Val, last but not least, let's hit the LV1 Classic. So first off, I know there's some really cool in-ear monitoring stuff we want to talk about. But before we get to that, tell me about the LV1 Classic. Everybody's asking me about this console. I'm not super familiar with it. I've put my hands on it. But give me a broad overview of the LV1 Classic and what's making it so popular.
This is the web page. Hopefully you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, so this is at waves.com.
This is at waves.com. This is how the console looks. Okay? So, of course, we will talk on some of the primary features, etc. But each and every engineer always wants to 1 second say, how does it look? What the ergonomics are? What's the feel of it? How am I going to look in front of it? Okay? So,
because that's the most important thing, Val. I got to look cool in front of this console, you know?
Hey, let's talk about more important stuff right now first. Exactly. So this is how it looks. It's compact, but it's not small. Okay? It's a full size touch screen. It's 16 faders with the dials and meters and everything in between. It's very robust.
And it brings all the ability of the Waves plugins right there to the console, right?
Yes. So everything we saw right now and the interface, some people already familiar with the Emotion LV1 interface of the software. By the way, the software itself, this Emotion LV1, is available for Mac and PC for any computer as an offline editor. So you can download to your machine to prepare sessions, and the offline editor, you get a free license. Offline, of course, you need to sign up to Waves. You get a free license for the offline editor, so you can open and see exactly how Mixer works, how you route things. You can load your plugins, you can adjust settings, you can route stuff, you can fully prepare your session. What you have in a classic console, it's the key word. It's the console. Because up to, let's say, a year ago, prior to announcement of the LV1 Classic, we were kind of in a modular system land. So you can buy a PC, a touchscreen, a switch, and the server, and the cables, etc., etc., etc. So you kind of a small IT shop to get it all going.
Yeah, 25 components and you got it going.
Yes, and live sound engineers, only geeks and nerds, and some of us are proud geeks and nerds, and we love it about our community. But in reality of the live sound, where in many, for example, churches, volunteers run the audio, you cannot allow IT grade equipment to be operated by the volunteer. It's going to be way too complicated for them. You need to have something that just works.
Yeah,
Okay?
especially in the smaller churches, they need to simplify it. I mean, there's some
Absolutely.
churches that are bigger and they kind of know, not that they know what they're doing, but they have more resources for staff and things like that. But there's a lot of churches where it's just a couple people doing everything, the youth, the tech, the pastoring, all of it. And so simplifying that process through a console like this, where it kind of gives it to you and puts it right in front of you, easy to touch, easy to use, easy to find the plugins, things of that nature is very clever. And that's what I loved about it. The tactile of it, how it touches and feels, the fact that I have access to everything that I need from a plugin standpoint. It's a really, really unique console. How many inputs can this console do?
Well, so let's talk about the actual console. So first of all, on the console itself, just for starters, there are already 16 inputs plus 2 AES inputs. Okay, there's headphone output, of course. There's a 12 analog outputs in the back. There's an addition, of course, connectors for the stage boxes. All of the stage boxes connect to the classic using Ethernet cables, okay, and Ethernet connector for your Wi-Fi if you want to get the router going, etc. So the console itself, as is, without the stage boxes, you can run your very small show with the 16 inputs, okay? But the stage boxes, the actual currently LV1 Classic supports 64 mono or stereo inputs. So each and every channel in LV1 can be mono or stereo. Okay? So in theory, your channel count can be from 64 to maximum 128 channels. Because in most of the cases, there's never a situation that each and every input is stereo. Some of them are stereo, like keyboards, computers, etc., etc. But in reality, you can run, let's say, 72 input show without any issues.
And how do you connect, just curious, how do you connect the stage box to the console?
So a stage box and a console connect to each other with the Ethernet RAN. If you have a few stage boxes, you have a network switch next to the stage boxes. So each of the stage boxes connects to the network switch, and then you have your Ethernet RAN from that network switch to the console. It's extremely simple, and it works. And you, of course, as obviously, you can have a few stage boxes. We have a stage boxes of different sizes. We have a 24-12, 24 in, 12 outs. We have 32-16, 32 in, 16 outs. Each of those boxes have the AES in and out also. So you can do two 32-16 boxes and then add another one. You can do any combination of them, meaning it's really whatever works for you.
So Val, I'm super excited about the EMO IEM add-on, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Is there anything else on the LV1 Classic that everybody should know about before we jump into the to the in-ear monitor add-on?
Other than it's fun to work
It's a
on it.
fun console.
It's a fun console. But more importantly, when we said about that you're gonna look good next to it, I'm not only meaning that you're gonna look good on a picture. For sound people to look good, it means you're gonna sound good.
It's got to sound good.
You're gonna sound good, and you can sound good without breaking your neck. And you're gonna sound, believe me, better than any other console in the world. And I'll explain why. Very simple. Today, every console in the world to sound good, every console in the world, they use outboard gear to make it sound better. Outboard gear can be analog one or can be digital one. If it's analog one, so they use their analog compressors and EQs and the wire it, and it's super complicated. Or they use a digital version of this, which called Super Rack. This is another Waves software that runs plugins. And this is why people use Waves, because they have an extensive, as you saw already, library of plugins and tools that help you to make studio quality sound in live. So each and every serious sound engineer who is out there running, they having their console, whatever it is, and they have the Waves plugins connected to it, next to it, okay, to make the mix sound as good as they wish it to be. LV1 is the only one console that comes with the plugins inside. This is Waves. This is the Wave sound all in one package. So you don't need to buy a console and then to get another Super X sound grid system and connect it all to get that audio. That's the sound that everyone is chasing. You have it from the get-go.
Right there, all in one package. So tell us a little bit about what I'm excited about. Tell us about the EMO in-ear monitor add-on. Tell us about that.
As we all know that most of the world moved already to in-ear monitoring. Rightfully so, because this is the way for musicians to play better, more precise, because they can finally hear what they play. And it's a savior for the sound engineer, because finally they can control the stage level and get their mix as good as it can be without the intense stage noise from the guitar amps and everything else. Okay? So yeah, everyone is familiar with in-ear monitors. Now, the next step in the world of in-ear monitoring, it's try to improve it or give it an option, an additional option for your in-ear monitoring for the musicians. And the option what we're talking about, everyone, it's called immersive panner or 3D panning, etc., etc.
Yeah, immersive is the big keyword right now everybody's talking about. I want it to be immersive.
In general, like in every fashionable thing, there's a lot of lingo involved that in many cases does not justify exactly what it does.
Yeah, I like to tell people to be very careful. When you hear the word immersive,
yes,
it can mean a bunch of things. And
absolutely.
So I tell my audience, hey, be very careful with immersive. So as you jump into this and you've used a few, kind of keywords, immersive, 3D, kind of explain why you feel your system works best for this.
So first of all, let's start from, and this is how I like to explain it. Although it's got all of those fancy names, immersive, 3D, and it's super easy to get lost in this and try to imagine something that doesn't really exist. I want to bring it out to kind of normal level of understanding. One of the actual problems that we have with inner monitoring, it's the staging, what's called staging in your ear. So spacing or placing elements in your space field. Okay, so it's usually we have left to right, right? So this is where it goes. Okay, when you get your in-ears on and everything is spent or left or right on somewhere in between, especially if it's many instruments or the music is very dense, what becomes a little bit claustrophobic, can get a little bit overcrowded in that spatial feel of this. Okay, what the immersive or 3D or whatever technology, what we call it, comes or trying to help is to make that space field wider, bigger, more spacious. So you can actually, when you place thing in your stereo field, you have, instead of the field being like this, it's a lot wider. Okay? So there's a lot more space. So it feels a lot more natural to the real world. Okay? So in what we do it, we actually employ a technology we call NX. This is the same technology we use for the studio plugins to emulate spaces, studio spaces or acoustic spaces. So what we did here, we built a surround panel, or what it's called 360 panel. So how you get to it and how it looks like actually from the user point of view. So right now I will go to a mix. So my send. Here my send. So to make it, let me do it back up a little bit. I'll switch it to stereo. So now, just one more thing. There are already systems that in many cases they're add-ons, hardware add-ons to the console. So you need to plug an additional box, wires, and stuff like that to get that ability to have that immersive mix, which is complicated and expensive. What we did in Classic, in Emotion LV1 Classic, this is my inner send. Let's say this is a drummer. Okay? This is our drummer. But right here on the modes on the right side of the LV1, if you have the switch through the modes, you have a mode which is called IEM. Okay? As soon as you switch to that mode, right to your auxes, showing up a button which is called on. As soon as you click on, that's it. Your mix, that particular mix, flipped from being or mono or stereo to your 360 panel. Now I'll show what is that exactly means. So I'm going back 1 second to my monitors, to the same X1 drummer, and we'll stay. So we right now in a stereo mode, okay, on sends on faders. This is sends on faders, okay, in a drummer's mix. So this is your usual standard stereo panel, okay, because currently the mix is in stereo mode, okay, standard. So if I have, for example, this is the kick, and I want to send the kick drum to the drummer, and or like it's gonna say this is right now kick in the center. I'm gonna move it. This is kick gonna go to the left ear. Right now the kick gonna go to the right ear. Okay, simple as that. Now I'm gonna go and switch that mix to IEM mode. So right here, turn it on. Done. Let's go back to our mix and our channels. This is the panner, as you see, changed. The panner is right now not left to right. You see the small head
Yeah.
where the panner is and a dot. And right now, your panning goes all the way around.
So you can basically place it left, right, front, right, rear left,
Exactly.
rear right, kind
Now,
of where you
and
want it.
here's what the only one thing I want to do right now. That's exactly where I want to manage the expectation. Although the panner goes behind your head, it's very hard, or let's say, to be 100% honest, impossible to simulate the audio behind your head in headphones. It's not physically possible. Okay? But it will give you a feel of depth. Now, moving it, for example, to this position, will give you a feel that it's not left or right, but it's actually positioned in a space. So, in a range like this is actually 100% realistic. You get the depth of field. You get that spaciousness. You get that wider stereo field, a lot wider stereo field than the standard stereo. Okay? Just this part, when you're behind the head, it's not gonna feel like an actual audio behind your head, because we need a physical sound to come up from the behind the head, and it's impossible to simulate it with your ears closed. Okay? That's just the reality of that. Now, the great thing about this, that we do have a artist application to control the monitors. Okay? We call it MyMon.
So this is like a software that you load on your phone?
On your phone, on your tablet, on your, it can be iOS or Android. It doesn't have to be, it's all of the above. I'll show 1 second how it looks like. Now you can see it. Okay? This is our app. Okay? So in this app, so you can control the level. This is, for example, drummer's mix right now. You can select any other mix. This is how musicians see it. They see the list of their mixes. It can be names. You name them, so it's easy and clear to understand who got which mix. For example, this is the drummer. It's working over Wi-Fi. Okay? And it works in a landscape mode also, so you can switch your phone.
You can get a little wider if you needed to. And all the naming conventions on that.
Exactly.
When you name it at the console, it pushes it to the software.
Yes, exactly. It's showing up in the software immediately. It's right there, available for all to see. Now, the one thing I'm going to show you, here it is. So we're right now in IEM mode on the drummer's mix. So if you switch to pen tab, you have this fader that right now, instead of left, right, it says 180.
So it's showing you kind of a number that tells you where it's at around your head.
But if you click that IMO IEM button, here's what's going to happen.
Oh, wow.
So let's start from the simple view. Simple view, it's a single view. You can travel between each channel. Let's say we already named our kick. So this is our kick. So the same thing I showed to you, this is how you can use it. So on this screen, you can place your instrument in a space field where you want it. You can adjust the level of this instrument, move it left, right, do what you gotta do, move to the next input, decide where you want it, give it a level. Okay? You want to see all of them together, you hit that button, multi-view,
Wow.
and suddenly you got placement of all of your channels that you're using in a mix in that field, and you can go and adjust the panning of them, each and every one of them, separately, and give them a right volume and do what you got to do. You want to get back, hit the X, you in your standard view. Here it is. Okay, so it's pretty effective, simple, and you can already do it. So what you're gonna do, gonna have in the next version iteration of LV1 Classic is some features that I cannot talk about yet because they're still in the works.
It's still in development.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you said, there's always more. So
there's always more. But one of the things that we received that people say, yeah, I can control the position of my audio. But if, for example, my source is stereo, I want to control the width of this source. I want it to be on narrow or wide. Sometimes I want to really actually fold my stereo source into mono. Or, like with overheads, and many times, I want to flip the left and right overhead in my ears because I'm standing on stage and I have a different orientation for this. So that you will be able to do in the next version of the mobile app. In addition, you will have a width control, which will allow you to control the width of your stereo channels. And you can do not only the width of it, you actually can flip the sides of your stereo channels in addition to that.
yeah, coming soon. So Val, this has been amazing. If people want to buy these products, where do they go?
Well, we actually have a pretty wide network of dealers in US. So go to website. They're written how you can get to it. In general, the website, it's got all kinds of information regarding the console, the workflows, the videos, the Q&As, the setup questions, everything you have in between, in addition to, of course, where you can purchase the stuff and the pricing. Plus, Waves, as you know, are known for the discounts and different style, financial incentives.
Yeah, keeping it financially affordable for all those churches out there that want to have killer sound that really takes them to the next level. So to get more info on these plugins and products, go to waves.com. That's waves.com. Val, so glad you joined us to explain all these things and help our community mix better. Thank you for coming on the Tech Arts Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Well, that wraps things up for today's episode. I can't wait to talk to you on the next Tech Arts Podcast. Until then, I'm David Leuschner signing off by wishing you a great day and praying God blesses every moment of your week. See you soon.
You have been listening to the Tech Arts Podcast, presented by Digital Great Commission Ministries. DGCM is a 501c3 nonprofit that was started to help churches with all things technical. Whether you need help building a team, finding the right gear, or just a better understanding of the church tech world, DGCM is here for you. Find out more about our free on-site visits, reports, and consulting by going to audiovideolighting.com. Digital Great Commission Ministries will help you run your church service like a pro. Find out more at audiovideolighting.com.
From sold-out stadiums to intimate live performance venues, sound engineers agree on one thing for the best digital mixing consoles for live sound. The only name that matters is DiGiCo. As the recognized worldwide standard for live audio mixing, DiGiCo consoles are renowned for their industry-leading sound quality and ease of use. Whether your application is in a church, broadcast, theater, corporate, sports, or installed sound, DiGiCo offers compact and affordable products. From the S21 all the way up to the pioneering power of the Quantum 852, DiGiCo delivers the workflow, the feature set, and the absolute reliability that the world's biggest tours and programs have come to rely upon. If you're looking for a sound console, look to DiGiCo for your answer. For more information on DiGiCo, go to digico.biz. That's digico.biz.
This podcast is brought to you by AC Americas, a distributor of lighting, audio, and video solutions. acamericas.net.
From front of house to center stage, for over 25 years, Earthworks microphones have sculpted the sounds of your favorite concerts, venues, and performances. Earthworks Audio is a sponsor of the Tech Arts Podcast. We are so happy to have them on board and excited to promote the new Earthworks SR117 vocal mic and capsules. To find out more about Earthworks Audio or to get your hands on this mic, go to earthworksaudio.com. That's earthworksaudio.com. Capturing emotion with sound. earthworksaudio.com.